The Warriors improved to 6-1 on the homestand. They dismantled the Miami Heat. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Yet this is going to be a depressing show. We'll tell you why coming up.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Warriors, everyone. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network out there. My name's Charlie Walter, telling you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. That's every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're talking Golden State Warriors on YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Charlie Walter's my name. Matt Kolsky, the co-host name today. On today's show, in big lettering, we wanted to say Warriors improved to 6-1 on this homestand. The Warriors are climbing back into contention of not playing in a play-in tournament and being in the playoffs. They're really executing well right now. They're getting ready to potentially make a trade. Like, all things should be excited in Warriors world. Unfortunately, Jimmy Butler goes down. He's holding his knee. Extreme pain, and an MRI is really going to determine the severity of this and really the outlook on the rest of the season. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Kolsky. Without Jimmy Butler, what are we doing?
Not much. I mean, yeah, it's this MRI. I mean, we've already got doctors in the comment section saying what I think is probably pretty clear to most people who've watched a lot of basketball, which is that in all likelihood, it's ACL or MCL, sprain or tear. But the distinction between those options are dramatic. You know, if it's an ACL tear, certainly he's done for this season and probably the start of next season. If it's an MCL sprain, maybe he's back in a few weeks, and then you're not quite as worried, especially considering how well some of these role players are playing. So, you know, I don't want to speculate on where in that range it's going to fall because I have no idea, but that's going to make a difference between a team that, like you said, is hot and ready to make a run and at least be a threat in the playoffs, and a team that, gosh, without Jimmy, I don't even know what they are. Are they a play-in team? I'm not sure. I'm not sure they are.
And it's also moving forward. Like, you have him on the books for 58 whatever million it is next year. I would imagine that unless you throw crazy amount of picks to a very stinky team's way, you're not going to be able to get rid of that contract if he's out for the majority of next season. I mean, this thing is it's likely finito. I mean, you got to just kind of think about actually blowing it up at a certain point if that's the case. And call me crazy, Kolsky, but if it's a torn ACL, Jimmy Butler's out for the season, I don't know what else you do. Like, I hate to hit
but
the
what does that
panic
mean?
right then and there.
I mean, I hear you philosophically, right? Like, if the season's done, you know, do what you can before the trade deadline to kind of tank and get whatever assets you can get in return. But if you're
Can I rephrase that? Maybe don't blow it up, but don't give out any draft picks. Let's say that. Don't be irresponsible because you're not going anywhere.
Okay. So if you can get Michael Porter for a first rounder and Jonathan Kuminga and, I don't know, Moses Moody, whatever it is, you're not doing that anymore.
Without Jimmy Butler? Probably not.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question. Because, you know, I'm not to pick on you, but people use the phrase blow it up, right? And as far as the Warriors are concerned,
something crazy is going to happen here, Kolsky, because
I don't know what that means.
You're going to pull up the comment on the screen of that crazy thing that could happen. Because we've heard for the longest time now that Jonathan Kuminga doesn't fit, right? Because of Jimmy Butler. He does not fit. If Jimmy Butler's out for the season with an ACL, all of a sudden he fits. I mean,
right. I mean, this is a fascinating question because undeniably, they need what he does if Jimmy's not available for an extended period of time. I do not misunderstand me. Jonathan Kuminga is nowhere near. I mean, he's done nothing in this league, basically. And Jimmy Butler's a Hall of Famer. So it's not that they're comparable as players, but, big 3/4 who can get to the free throw line better than most of the people on the team. And at least from a one-on-one perspective, defend some tough perimeter guys and just score. I mean, I don't, but at the same time, the idea of well, he didn't fit before, but maybe now that Jimmy's gone, well, that fit has never really been the problem here. Let's be totally honest. The problem is the coach doesn't like him. So I don't think he's going to play still. But if we're watching, I mean, especially with Guy Santos out too, if we're watching 4-guard lineups with Pat Spencer playing 25 minutes a night and the team can't score, I can't understand how anyone looks at that and doesn't think the Warriors look stupid as an organization. So it's a really awkward spot. And hopefully for that and 1,000 other reasons, this is a minor injury, much less than it looked like. But I think we have to be honest that the combination of Steve Kerr's distaste for the player and the front office's insistence on maintaining a certain valuation of the player has put the franchise in a terrible position. Whatever you think of Jonathan Kuminga, the way his whole deal has been handled for 4.5 years now has put not only the player, but the organization in just an absolute garbage situation. And the Warriors have nobody but themselves to blame for that.
Well, you've won 6 of your last 7 at this point, 6-1 on the homestand. This wasn't even a topic that was brought up 48 hours ago because we were talking about Jimmy Butler and we were talking about Curry and we were talking about the team winning games. But now it kind of rears its ugly head, right? When you got a guy sitting on the bench that plays the same exact position, that's still technically on your team, whether he's a verbal trade or not, until he's actually traded, he's still on your team. And now you do kind of need him to a certain degree, or you need him to at least go somewhere else that nets you someone in return that you can have for the future. But if you don't have Jimmy Butler on the team, I think he's an excellent player. I think he was kind of the complementary piece that this team needed to really turn things around last year. And without him, I don't care if you bring in Michael Porter Jr. I don't care if you bring in Grayson Allen. I don't care if you bring in Malik Monk. It's over. You're not winning an NBA championship. You're not competing for an NBA championship. And if you're not doing both those things, you're not giving up first-round assets. If you are, then you're stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I probably agree with you. I mean, if Jimmy Butler is really out for the season, and again, we're speculating, but it doesn't seem, nobody's going to be surprised if that's the news. It's hard to imagine any scenario where this turns into a threat in the playoffs. It's just difficult to picture it. So you're probably right. You would not want to sacrifice those assets now because you're going to want to get a look at things in the summer. And, there's always more that you can do in the summer. And no, that doesn't mean you're giving up on the rest of Steph's career. No, but there's just not going to be enough that you can do at the trade deadline. If Butler's out, there's not going to be enough to do. You're not going to be able to trade him, moments after he hurts himself and is out for an extended period of time, especially at his age. You're not going to be able to get enough for Kuminga to not, I mean, we were talking about with Jimmy Butler, they need to get better, right? So that's really all you need to hear. Without Jimmy Butler, there's no opportunity to get better enough to be a legitimate playoff threat. There just isn't.
One thing that would help is if Pajemski keeps playing like he's been playing the last week. He had 24 off the bench tonight. Let's tell you about his performance. Let's talk the good. The win, I know it's overshadowed by an injury, but the Dubs did dominate 135-112 over the Miami Heat. We haven't even gotten into the game. Let's get into that. We'll take your comments on Jimmy Butler. And honestly, everyone, find wood, knock on it. Until the fat lady sings, Jimmy Butler's okay. He was laughing coming off the floor. Him and Buddy Hield, they had a moment that was caught on like the stream of basically Jimmy saying, "Shut your ass up," as he's down with potentially an ACL tear. They're still having fun with each other. He was laughing, smiling, being helped off the floor. So you hope for the best, but you kind of expect the worst. Locked on Warriors. We'll be right back.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. You know that's FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel's making them even better. Every Friday night, before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. And it doesn't come with a hangover. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. It's Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, and it's become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Open the app, check out the boosts, the bonuses, and surprises you get for free, the weekly specials before tip-off. It's perfect. So before tip, check the FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. All right, let's get back to the show.
And, buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
All right, so the Warriors get a 23-point win over Miami. Butler had 17 in his 21 minutes before leaving the game with a knee injury. MRI on Tuesday will determine the severity. So we're going to be going to sleep anxious, and hopefully good news to come on Tuesday. Some good news, Quentin Post is starting to hit threes. Hit 4 of them today in his 5 attempts. He had 15 points. Post looks good. Again, it's the second-round steals on this team. The Quentin Post with 15 and the Will Richard giving you 26 solid minutes. And the late first-round picks like Brandon Pajemski going for 24 off the bench today, and 16 from Buddy Hield, 10 from a 39-year-old Al Horford. Trace Jackson Davis knocks down his first career three-pointer today. So you got a lot of good stuff from the around-the-margins players. And it was good enough today to beat a Miami Heat team that was 22-20 heading in. But I think we've said it, Kolsky, it's probably not going to be good enough to run through the Western Conference. But let's take a look at this team as a whole. Aside from Pajemski, we'll get to him in a second. Who impressed you most out there today?
Quentin Post, not only, I mean, look, good overall game. The rebounding, to me, is kind of the key issue for him. Because I think everybody believes in the shot. Tonight it was good. It hasn't been as good as you'd like it to be all year. But I do think that Quentin Post, to stay on the floor, I think we've learned this. To stay on the floor for the Warriors, you got to rebound the basketball. And if you're a 7-footer in particular, I mean, his rebounding has been a glaring weakness, largely over the course of the year. And I think it's kept him off the floor some nights. But last couple nights in particular, crashing the boards hard. And I think it's just one of these things that you got to show the coaching staff that you're doing it to stay out there. And honestly, Al was there tonight, but especially now that we're going to have Al not there tomorrow, and just in general, wanting to not overuse the 39-year-old, Quentin Post being able to stay on the floor for 20 plus minutes a night, because he's been sort of having these, like, he's starting, but he plays 5 minutes in the first and 5 minutes in the third, and that's it. If he can play enough defense and rebound well enough to stay out there more, and yeah, commenter mentions fouls have been a problem too. I think that's what that is the best scenario for the Warriors. They need a stretch bit, especially now that Butler's gone. They just need more guys who can add points to the lineup. You know, Trace Jackson-Davis is a really tough, hard-working, undersized center, but Quentin Post can score 12 points in a quarter if he gets hot pretty easily, you know? And I think that is the thing this team is going to need more than ever moving forward is points. They just, you know, Butler's definitely going to miss some time. And without him, they were already short on scoring, and it's really rough now.
I mean, whether it's a direct correlation or not is up for you, the viewer, the listener, to decide. But I do think it's fact at this point that, again, when Draymond's not on the floor, the team looks pretty good. Like they won by 23 tonight. They beat a decent Miami Heat team, and that's a Heat team that's a little bit banged up, right? They didn't have Tyler Hero out there at the very least.
Also, I don't know that I've ever seen. I mean, this. I'm not sure I've ever seen Bam Adebayo that bad. He was awful.
I forgot he was out there. What was the final? 1 of 13 from the floor?
Yeah, 1 of 13.
1 of 13. You didn't need Draymond to shut him down to go 1 of 13. But I asked that question just because, like, the look, at a certain point when you continuously win games without a dude that has been proclaimed as untouchable, it does make you wonder truly, like, how much he raises your ceiling. I mean, at this point, again, you can't really trade him. I don't think he has a tradable contract. I don't know how many teams are in on him. And if Jimmy Butler's out for the season, I don't know what – I mean, maybe flipping Draymond for a score, Kuminga and Draymond for a score could potentially, you know, change the trajectory of things. But it does make you wonder a little bit how much – he truly helps in the regular season, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's the trick with a lot of these things that we're talking about, right? Is the playoffs are different, and Draymond definitely helps in the playoffs. Now, none of that matters if you don't get to the playoffs. So it's a weird balance to strike. But I think we've all kind of acknowledged it, right? He certainly has been untouchable most of his career, frankly, with the Warriors. He is less untouchable today than ever before, right? I mean, he punched Jordan Poole right in the face, and he was still untouchable. But I would say he's a little more touchable right now.
Brandon Pajemski should probably be untouchable with the way he's playing in a $3 million contract. I mean,
isn't that how we got here, Chuck?
He's playing good basketball, man. 24 points in the game, 9 of 19, 3 of 7, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. But I think a big storyline from this one's going to be that entry pass to Jimmy Butler.
God, no. We can't do that. I'm not doing that with you.
I'm not. I'm saying the chat is.
No way. Someone's blaming Pajemski for Butler's knee? No,
not someone.
Butler asks for those passes. You know, it's just no. I will not participate in Pajemski shaming.
Good. Give him his flowers. He played great. He had an awesome fourth quarter.
Not just tonight. He's on a heater, and the way he is scoring is impressive. I mean, he is doing tough stuff. He's dealing with end of the shot clock grenades. He is dishing out crossover step back threes. You know, the question with him just remains, how sustainable is this? The other stuff we know, the 6 rebounds and the 4 assists and the steal and you know, did he draw a charge tonight? I can't remember. But all that stuff we know. the level of Brandon Pajemski's future is going to be determined entirely by how consistently he can score in the way he did tonight, both quantity-wise and just a shot selection. He's 9 of 19, 3 of 7, which is like winning percentages for a guard, basically. And it was a really tough shot diet. He did not have a lot of easy looks tonight. So that guy, maybe is pushing fringe all-star someday. We don't see that guy enough, but it has been 3 or 4 straight games for him. And, Moody not lighting it up tonight, but plus 25, 13 points, solid night.
And he was active, man. He got in there for a couple offensive rebounds. And to piggyback off what you're saying on Pajemski, it's not only the shot and his shot-making ability that I think has just gotten better as the season has gone along, but it's not sticking the basketball, if that makes sense. It's moving it as soon as he gets it. And it's what Steve Kerr loved about him most of last season, where he gripped it and ripped it, right? He got it and went. He, caught it and was immediately looking to move and make a play and didn't stop the basketball. And there were too many times this year where it felt like he just picked up his dribble in the wrong spot, or clunky was the word that always came up. It just looked kind of clunky when he was out there handling the rock, and it hasn't looked that way at all recently. He continuously makes the right decisions. His processing has been lightning speed. He hasn't made a ton of mistakes. The turnover numbers, I would have to imagine, are down. He's kind of playing this combo guard role where he was more of like a lead guard at the beginning of the year, it felt like, and now he's, not being asked to do as much. And I feel like it's I feel like the game has really started to slow down to him. And again, we have to see this for another month. We have to see this in a playoff series, but there's no reason to think at 22 years of age, when you've seen flashes before, that this can't be who this guy is consistently.
Yeah, I mean, like someone
not
just
24
said
a night, but
right?
16, 6 and 6 on 45, 40 splits.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's basically been 45-40 splits the whole year. The question is whether he can get the shot quantity on a nightly basis. I mean, he's at 12 points a game on the season, but 41% from 3, 47 from the field. That, like, 47-41 doesn't feel like a stretch for Brandon Pajemski. It's kind of where he's been. The problem is some nights it just seems like he doesn't do the stuff he did tonight. Some nights he does the step back and passes on the 3-point shot. Some nights he drives into the lane and is just looking exclusively to pass. And I'm not quite, you never know what the effect of that or the cause of that rather is. If it's just his own confidence, if he's feeling better some nights than other nights, if it's just weird being, the whatever, how old is he? 24 now? 23-year-old guy on a team
22.
full of Hall of Famers. He's only 22 still. There you go. So, oh yeah, he's about to turn 23. Yeah. It's hard to know what the issue is. And to be clear, like, I think Pods is really good. I think his development has been normal. And I think the expectations set around him have been bizarre and have sort of thrown off the conversation. But this looks great. The question just is whether he's a 20-point a night scorer, 20 plus, and then he's a guy that, again, is like pushing all-star status and can be a building block for this team, or if he's more of a 13 to 16 points a game at his peak type of guy. And then he's a, good role player. But there's no future where Brandon Pajemski isn't a worthwhile NBA player. I mean, I think that's clear. He's certainly, if Butler's out, he's going to have plenty of opportunity to take shots. The Warriors are going to need guys to take shots, and they're probably going to need guys to take tough shots because without Jimmy, the shots are going to be tougher, especially for that second unit. So he's likely to get a good run here where we see if he can maintain this kind of level because they're going to need scoring from Brandon Pajemski for the next month, if not the next year.
And the good experiment is always to look at who was taken in front of him and right behind him in the draft and where he compares. And you look at guys like it's 17, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then right before Pajemski was Jaime Jaquez, who's having a good year. We got to see him tonight right behind him.
Similar level guys, right?
Yeah. Cam Whitmore, Dariq Whitehead, Chris Murray, Grady Dick, Jordan Hawkins, Kobe Buffkin. Like Keontae George is really the only one in that list that's like, okay, I'd rather have Keontae George than Brandon Pajemski, hands down. But aside from that, like he's a very fair draft pick at 19. I think he's honestly probably been better than his draft selection. And again, he's 22. He only played a couple of years of basketball in college, played at Santa Clara to where he wasn't going up against high major teams every single night. So whether or not that slows down your development, you'd have to ask someone that played mid-major basketball. But I remember actually asking Coach Sendek about that one time, and he went off on me on 95.7. He was just like, hey, he's playing great defenses in the WCC. Don't disrespect the W. I was like, no, I didn't disrespect the WCC. I just brought up the fact that he wasn't playing against Duke every single night or something. But let's get into more from this game. Let's get into more on the Jimmy Butler injury when we return. The big question that we have to answer is who the hell is the small forward on this basketball team? You got to have a small forward, right?
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to get there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Gametime comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage back, makes it easy to score amazing tickets. It's fast, it's simple, and without the guesswork. You could see the view from your seat with a panoramic view. You find the ticket sales in the section you want. There's no surprise fees, whether it's an NBA game, comedy show, a musical, you name it, live event, Gametime will hook you up. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. All right, let's get back to the show.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
I mean, it's a fair question to ask, right? Who's the team's starting small forward? Is Buddy Hield back in the rotation? And is he now your starter? Are you going to make a trade? Or are you just going to have two shooting guards in the lineup? Or is Steve Kerr going to be forced to either trade Jonathan Kuminga tomorrow or after we learn about what the severity of this injury is, or put him back in the lineup? I mean, something has to give, you would think. Whether you think Kuminga is good or not, you just need some positional size. You need a position on the floor to some degree.
Yeah, well, tomorrow they have Melton. So, on Melton nights, I think we can guess at the starting.
Melton Moody.
Yeah. Well, assuming Draymond's back on the floor tomorrow. Will Richard, I guess, probably gets Draymond's spot if not. But I think it's less that than just the depth and scoring on this team. And I'll tell you what, man, I think you were kind of joking, but this is only the third, maybe fourth time this season Buddy Hield scored more than 15 points, and it came at a really nice time. And now would be a really good time in general for Buddy Hield to hit a hot streak. You would imagine he's going to have to play with Jimmy out. And look, again, we can argue about the Kuminga thing until the cows come home as far as what kind of player he is or will be, and we'll never know, maybe ever, but certainly not as long as he's on this team. What I think we can say is it's gone too far for them to go back to him now. So I don't expect to see that. Although, it's a pretty glaring thing when given what they're missing right now. I just don't think he's even under consideration. So I think it's going to be 4-guard lineups because if you look at the roster, there's not a lot of other choices.
You got long guards. You have Moody. You have Will Richard. You have D'Anthony Melton. I think all three you'd probably slot in as shooting guards, natural positions, but long enough wingspans to where you can play both of them on the floor, shooting guard, small forward.
Listen, this becomes the issue here. And he's talking about Hield specifically, but just in general, you're in a lot of tough defensive situations. Yes, your other guards defend better than Buddy Hield largely. I mean, Moody, Payton, even Pajemski is a better defender than Buddy. But you're in a lot of bad defensive spots without Jimmy Butler. You just are. You're in a lot of bad spots in general. I mean, we said it at the beginning, and it's kind of anything else we talk about, as much as we want to talk about all the good things that are happening. They're 6-1 in the last 7. Or is it 5-1 in the last 7? Whatever it is, they're playing great, particularly on the homestand. This was a really good win considering who wasn't there and who left in the middle and the way they got it done with ease. But if Butler is really hurt for a long time, it's tough.
It does suck.
To
but
see
let's take it one day at a
success.
time. Like Alan in the chat saying these guys are a joke. Our season's over. They're talking pods, heroics, and a resurgent Buddy. Well, can we wait for the MRI first before we say the season's over? Can we wait for an MRI?
Well, but even if the MRI is not good news, we still have a show to do, my friend. So we're going to talk about a lot of other things. Yeah, Jimmy's hurt. It stinks. If he's out for the season, it's really tough
step up.
to rebound from that.
And you're going to get a look at what the future looks like post Steph Curry, because you're going to see if dudes like, Pods, for example, and I don't know if Will Richard, but I'd throw Pods and Moody at the top. Like, you're going to see if you slot them in as second, third most important dudes on the team, if they can hold up for half a season with heightened responsibilities.
It's less important than just the scoring to me. You're not going to replace what Jimmy Butler brings as a experienced NBA veteran and none of these guys. Come on. But that was a long time ago in a different team, but it's true. And D'Anthony Melton's a really good player, and he will be available tomorrow and hopefully most of the games the rest of the year. But scoring to me is going to become your big issue. You need if D'Anthony Melton is your second scorer, then you're going to need a pretty significant third scorer, right? And honestly, no one here is prepared to be a legitimate second scorer. So when I look at this, you hope you get some good stuff out of Buddy, but you can't count on him to do it consistently. You got a lot of guys who just are not scorers like that. Gary Payton, Moses Moody, I like the kid. I don't think he's ever going to be a scorer like that. Will Richard, I really like the kid, and maybe someday, but he's not ready to be a scorer like that in the NBA right now, nor would you expect him to be. It's really Pods and Melton. In the absence of Jimmy Butler.
And both have proved they can go for 20 on a given night in the last week.
Both have proved they could go for 30 if you get lucky.
I don't know if Melton's gone for 30 in 7 years, Kolsky.
I don't know if Pods has ever done it, but they can both put the ball in the basket.
He's gotten close.
And they're both going to get a more consistent high shot volume than they've ever had before. That's the real issue here. And the question is, for Melton and for Pods too, if you're getting 7 to 10 more shots than you're used to getting, can you maintain the percentages that we've come to know and enjoy? And with Melton, it's a little different because, he hasn't totally established his percentages yet. He's kind of just got here this season. But, Pods has shot really well this year. can he continue to shoot really well if you give him 7 to 10 more shots a night?
5 big takeaways from the show. 1, MRI Tuesday.
Waiting on an MRI.
What's it going to reveal? Waiting on an MRI that could determine the outcome of the season. Remember, we were waiting on an MRI last postseason with Jimmy's hip when he fell against the Rockets. We assumed that, we assumed the worst at that point. Now, clearly a different injury, but all was well in that situation. But that's observation number 1. Observation number 2 is the elephant in the room, and that is, like Steve Kerr's mentioned a million times, that Kuminga doesn't really fit with Jimmy Butler in that lineup, but he's also said 50 times that he likes the way JK's working and the Warriors could potentially keep him. Will that saga take some wild turn? Maybe not. Maybe traded tomorrow, maybe traded by the time you watch this episode. But that's something you at least have to keep an eye on, where you didn't have to keep an eye on it like 3 hours ago. As we're recording this. 3 is going to be Moody, Pajimski, Melton. Those 3. Like, how good can they be? Can they be dudes, man? You need dudes right now. You need 3 for the price of 1. That's basically what you need. You need those 15, 12, 10-point guys to give you the production that Jimmy would give you on a typical night on offense. You need him to knock down shots, and then defensively, you have to hold your own. You need more Quentin Post. You need nights like tonight where he hits 4 threes. But he was so good with Jimmy in that pick and pop, and now you lose Jimmy in the pick and pop situations, and it would be a disaster. So let's go back to observation number 1, the MRI. That's how we end the show. The MRI, man. Any final thoughts from you?
No, I mean, that's it. There are 1,000 different scenarios we can get into down the road. But for now, every Warrior fan should be praying to whatever deity they believe in that the MRI comes back not as severe as it might.
And on a night where Andrew Wiggins was welcomed back and was cheered on by the faithful at Chase, and had a touching tribute video with his children involved and everything. It was a night that provided really a lot of good vibes, a good 23-point win, 6-1 on the homestand, and just ended with one of those moments where the air was sucked out of the building. And really the lasting image was Jimmy Butler on the ground in serious pain, holding his knee, but still having the wherewithal to tell Buddy Hield to shut the hell up, as Buddy said something to him on the ground. So that's what we'll take away from this one. This is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you soon.
Sprained MCL would be nice. That sounds good. Sprained MCL. Cross your fingers.